Good day to you and welcome to another Paddocks Club tutorial. Today I'd like to chat to you about sole and limited mandates being given to either one or a number of estate agents, letting agents to sell and lease properties in a scheme. This issue has been raised increasingly often on the discussion forum, and I've come across it in practice recently also. Now, the idea is that the rules of the scheme are altered to provide that only one or perhaps a limited number of leasing or sales agents are allowed to operate in the scheme. Some arrangements benefit the scheme by having a percentage, say 50% or 25% of the commission earned on each of these transactions paid to the body corporate. Others do not. Others might be imposed by the developer in terms of which an estate agency in which he has or she has an interest gets that share. Some rules do allow for private contracts, but others, and some I've come across recently, require that all owners use a nominated letting or sales agent or one of a limited number, and some impose fines if people don't do so. You let after we made this rule, you now owe us 6,000 Rand because you broke the arrangement. You should have used this particular agent. Now, my approach in the past has always been to ask, is this rule reasonable? Are owners getting a choice of the best agents available? And together with that, is it in the best interests of the scheme generally from a management perspective? Is it a management issue they're dealing with? And so I've been reasonably open to these types of rules on the basis that they could theoretically be reasonable in their content and also reasonably applied so as not to discriminate against people. But recently, I have to admit, I've seen a darker side to the application of these types of rules. For example, trustees ensuring that the nominated agents, by arrangement with them, only allow people who meet specific criteria to view properties and put in offers to lease or buy. And that clearly is not in anybody's interest, and it's in fact discriminatory and against the very terms of our Constitution. So what is the basis of this type of provision? Well, fundamentally it's a limitation of owners' freedom to contract with whomsoever they want for letting or selling their property. It gives certain agents an individual or a shared monopoly, excluding them from other competition and allowing them to farm that particular area with less cost involved in making their sales. It also will reduce their willingness to cut their fees in cases where they are already, in terms of that arrangement, having to share those fees. My conclusion, quite simply, having rethought this thing, is that this type of rule should never remove an owner's right to act in their own best interests, i.e. to find buyers or tenants directly or via his or her own chosen agent. I think if it does that, I have a difficulty. I think that it might not meet the standard of it being reasonable. I do think rules can control the way estate agents bring prospective tenants and owners into the development, make sure that you don't have people just walking in and all over the show and sniffing things out so that they might come back and steal, that type of thing. But they must be reasonable and they must be applied in the best interests of both the owner concerned and of the scheme generally. Thank you very much for joining me in this Paddocks Club tutorial, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them in the discussion forum.